I'll open up the minutes for, open up the agenda for September 11th of the Carroll County Commissioners meeting. And the first item on the agenda is a moment of silence for 9/11. So let's do that now. Good, thank you. Next item on the agenda was Commissioners' discussion, and I believe that was put on the agenda by you, Commissioner
Yes, it was.
Babson.
Shall I address it?
Sure, go ahead.
We've been going over the minutes for Mr. Como's 91A request, and I think what we've learned over that time is that Ed was absolutely right, and you've said it, Commissioner Sorensen, that minutes are in a mess, and I applaud Ed for keeping at us till we got it fixed. I suppose Ed and I could argue from not only end of time whether 208, 209 were necessary, because there isn't much we could do about it at this point anyway. And as I said last week, I'm not about to throw an employee under the bus that may have been in one of the non-public minutes and now straightened out. And I'm sure that there's people out there. This board, according to a lot of people, can't do anything right, so I'm sure they're going to complain that the entire process wasn't in the open. As I said, I wasn't here. Ash has only been here for 2.5 years. David, you've been here a long time. So there's sensitive material, and I don't see why anybody could complain that we've gone over them word by word, and 2 hours later, if they can be unsealed, we've unsealed them. Which brings me to my next question, is we unsealed them last week. We unsealed many, many minutes. And the vote was 2-1, Commissioner Sorensen and Commissioner Babson voting in favor. Voting against opening up the minutes from Commissioner Kenney. And somewhere shortly after that meeting, maybe the next day, Commissioner Kenney came in and took all the minutes, or thought she took all the minutes that we had unsealed, and voted to put on the internet, and told our assistant to stop putting them on the internet, and took the minutes away. Then I guess she wasn't satisfied with, or felt that she didn't have them all. She came back and got a last copy from Cheryl the next day. And I would like to know where Commissioner Kenney thinks that she had the authority to do that, why she did it, and when the vote was 2-1 to release them, I don't see that you had any right to do it, Commissioner Kenney, at all, until, as far as I know, they're not returned. You didn't take the unsealed minutes, which you're supposed to be watching. What was the harm of leaving one copy here that we voted to unseal?
Okay, first of all, we had a non-public session last week, and the minutes of the non-public session were sealed. So I don't know how anyone in the public can come here and ask for non-public minutes. They don't know what we release something or not. So I don't know why they make a big to-do, unless one of the commissioners, and probably Commissioner Babson, start leaking out again confidential information. Like he did with the May 3rd meeting, we have a writer coming here and said, oh, there was a termination. I was absent at meeting, so I didn't leak anything. It was a simple task. I went downstairs. The HR director told me the administrative assistant signed a confidentiality agreement. So if you have a task, you can ask her. I trusted the person with a simple task. And I said, can you make a copy for me? I gave her a binder, put it in a binder, and put it on my desk. Because I know nobody's coming to ask for those minutes. The non-public session is sealed. And she took it to make a copy. And then I saw she went talking to Kathy Armstrong, and she came back to me, and she said she had a concern. I said, what is the concern? She said, from one date, I see 3 different sets of minutes. I said, maybe different people came, I don't know. Yeah, but no, it's the same people. And I said, it's about 2009. I was not even on the board, so I don't have any conflict. But I said, if the county is liable, and if we release this current board, I need to look at it. So I said, just leave it on my desk, and I'm going to look at it again, because I don't want that things be put on a website, and we're liable. And I'm checking my commissioner's email, and after that I went home. I forgot to check it. And later I realized, oh, I didn't check it again. What if the county's liable? I had doctor's appointment. I have a lot of other things to do, what I had to cancel to make a quick stop to read through the minutes. So I came back and I said, hey, where is it? It's not on my desk. She said, oh, I'll make a copy. I said, give it to me because I want to see if the county's liable. Let me read quick through it. So while I was reading, I got an emergency call. I just read 1 set, 3 sets I needed to read, that I needed to come home. So I drove home again and locked it up. So when I was home, I get a nasty email from Commissioner Babson, not even bother to ask me or give me a call and said, hey, Commissioner, is there something wrong? Do you need to check something again? What's going on? But start to blasting me. You're rude. You demanded it. No, I simply asked to see if the county is liable. Let me check it again. I think it is my job as a clerk to double check it. It's about 2009. I had no idea. I got slammed. I have people calling me and said, you're taking stuff. They're putting stuff on Facebook. They start calling me and telling me everything what is going on. And I didn't understand it. I said, I don't do anything wrong. I just want to check it again so that a county is not liable for anything. And they make a big to-do. And that is what I'm putting up for years. They make something out of nothing since day one when I was here. They will twist, they will slam, they will bend. That is what they do from day one. And it will be a surprise if they're not going to call an attorney to investigate Commissioner Kenney. Maybe you both should call SWAT to do an investigation, and just pay him some money and don't take a vote on any contract. Just pay him $15,000 or $20,000 and say, hey, just write a report. Let's investigate her. Because this is getting crazy. It is pathetic that pure speculation, we're putting stuff on Facebook, and pure speculation, I get a nasty email. I'm busy 7 days a week. I'm also raising 2 young kids. I have no time for this nonsense and this drama. I just come here and simply do my job, my work, and that's it. I also get a phone call from somebody from the county, not even asking, hey, is there anything wrong, Commissioner? Do you need to read something, or can you not release it at this time? But simply said, you took the minutes. We're trying to locate it because Seamans wants the minutes. So how does she know that there are minutes there? Non-public session of last week was sealed. I have the right to double check. If somebody come and said, hey, there is a concern, then I have to look into it.
Are you all done?
Yeah, for now.
Commissioner Babson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, did I misunderstand or did I not? Didn't we vote to unseal a whole bunch of minutes last week?
Yes, we did.
In non-public session.
And the
Session is
the
sealed.
recording secretary should have all those minutes that we unsealed in the minutes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Once they're unsealed, we had some that we unsealed, they only had 1 copy of. They were given to you, Commissioner Kenney.
Yes,
To make a wait a minute, I'm talking now. For you to make a copy of them so that you could have a copy for your records, and there could be a copy available to the public of those that we unsealed. Now, did you do that?
if we make a motion to unseal them. We talk
No,
about
we
everything in non-public session, and we seal the minutes of those session. And the only text what I was asked, make a copy for you, because later we're going to give that to the public. We need to make today a motion to unseal them.
I think we
in
need to look
public.
at the minutes. I thought we unsealed a number of them.
Yes, but
And then we only had
not
one
public.
copy, and we were gonna make 2 copies. She
One
was gonna have
copy.
one for her records,
One for the book?
and we're gonna release one to the public,
Correct,
correct?
correct.
Okay. So, did you make copies?
Yeah, I asked her to make a copy.
Okay.
I have, and they say I take minutes, whatever. I always have the original set what I have to store. So I don't know what the big to-do was.
Commissioner Babson?
Do we have a copy to open to the public and to put on the internet?
If we make a motion today that we're going to release them, then there will be a copy and will be on the internet.
Commissioner Babson?
Absolutely, I'm not going to make that motion. I don't want it to appear that we made a mistake last week. As far as I'm concerned, we unsealed them. We unsealed them 2-1 with you voting in the negative, Commissioner Kenney, and you had absolutely no right, as far as I'm concerned, to take anything out of here. You're the clerk. You have every right to keep the non-public minutes, but you don't have a right to take every single one of the unsealed minutes so that we can't do our job.
I gave her the minutes to make a copy. If I didn't give her, she had nothing, and nobody knows anything, and we didn't have the big to-do.
Okay,
And
we'll
it
take
was
those minutes up
if
in
you said it
non-public.
was unsealed, non-public session, and the minutes of those sets are sealed. So you're leaking out confidential information.
I don't believe that's true. I think
That is true.
we unsealed them.
Yes,
For
but
that purpose, for
how,
the
when
public.
did you seal? Did you seal them in public, in a public session, in a public commissioners meeting? No. We discussed all kinds of stuff and look at all kinds of stuff. Everything was done in non-public. So how do you want to take half of the non-public session and suddenly set it as public? It's illegal.
Well, we'll follow this up in non-public, but we released them and we'll get them after we look at the minutes. 2 other things that I have a question for you, Commissioner Kenney.
Yeah.
Did you find out and talk with the sheriff regarding that letter we got from an individual?
Yes, and actually, I have the letter downstairs.
Did you
I
follow
think
up
I
on it?
wanna- Yes, I follow up with the sheriff, and I actually want to read the letter to the public, and it is downstairs, and I will read it next week. It was about speeding, I believe, over 100 miles an hour. And the sheriff is not here, so you told me it was Freedom, correct?
That was actually South Tamworth, is what I told you.
You said it was Freedom.
No, Route 25 in South Tamworth.
Oh, so now it is South Tamworth.
Accident that we were responding to.
Oh, okay. We had a complaint from a taxpayer about speeding under Route 16, and I talked to the sheriff, and I believe he told me it is Freedom, but now he's here. He said it is Tamworth, and not just Tamworth, it is South Tamworth, that they were responding to an accident.
Okay, the other issue I have is that the 3 of us did evaluations back in April, and you have not done Kathy Gary's evaluation, and you haven't done Jason Johnson's evaluation, so I would hope that you would get those to me soon.
I have it
So we
done,
can put them in their
and
file.
I don't think I gave it to you, because I have it done.
You've got it done? Okay, I don't have them, okay? Okay, are we all done with Commissioners' discussion?
Yes. We're going
Okay.
to have reports too, though, aren't we?
What's that?
We are going to have reports, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I'm done.
Public input from anybody? Yes.
You'll have another public input at the end of your meeting as well?
Yes, we all do.
We always do, and we'll have it after 9:30, before 9:45. Okay.
I'll hold them, thank you.
You have a report, seeing no public input, you have a report to make?
I've got several.
Okay.
Well, first of all, yesterday, Jason and Will and I went up to Grafton County and jail and spent the day with Superintendent Glenn Libby up there, who I've got to tell you is about the biggest promoter that I've ever run across in my life. He could sell bikinis to an Eskimo, He run that place. They've done just a fantastic job. They have a huge agricultural portion to their county. I have the sheet here for 2012 and 2013. 2012, they provide food for the nursing home, for the jail, for food banks, for nonprofits that need it, and they discount their food to seniors that want to come and buy it at the food stand. 2012, their farm stand sales were $66,200. Their total value, which takes in eggs for the jail, produce donated to outside agencies, senior employee discount, the total was $85,400. They run on a fiscal year, so this year, 2013, the same figures. Farm stand sale receipts, and they break this down, were $52,200. Sales to Belknap, $480. Sales to Hillsborough, $800. Sales to Hillsborough, $800. And sales to Courthouse, $315. They sell them mostly potatoes. They put up 120 tons of potatoes there on their farm. The total figure of the value of the produce that they've sold, used, and donated this past fiscal year was $107,400. It's a large portion. Their kitchen, when we were in there, I don't know how you find a person like this, but the head of the kitchen is a graduate of Johnson and Wales Culinary College down in Rhode Island, and she's also a House of Corrections officer. She came there as an officer before she started this program. They were cutting meat and freezing. What was it, Willie? We got an eggplant parmesan to be. They have a vacuum freezing unit. The bread, they now make their own bread. They were paying $4 a loaf of bread. They're now making it for $1.15 in their kitchen. It was just an amazing day to see. We also saw the difference between spending $9 million and $9.5 million for jail and 38?
31, I think.
31 or 32.
31, yeah.
Theirs was bigger.
What was the size difference? Number of beds?
Oh, they housed 200 and something, they had 200 and something inmates in there yesterday.
At 32 million?
Yeah.
And ours is 8? We have 140?
But it was better constructed, it was better thought out from what little I know of penal institutions. They have a much larger workforce, even though they're short, what do you say, Will, 3 or 4 or 5 people?
I could be corrected, but I thought he said that they had about 43 officers, and their facility was designed for 70 officers. So
Yeah.
they're running the same problem that we had or used to have with our new jail, not having enough staff for what the facility calls for, if I remember quoting him right.
They also have their own IT department with 3 people in it. The head IT person started out as a corrections officer, and I guess maybe playing for his computers all his life, he developed a real love for it, become an expert. So he was the one that helped him wire up the young man, helped him wire up the new building when they put it up. So now he's doing the IT work. But I thought it was interesting they had their own in-house source, and it was for the entire complex, not just for the jail. What other things, Will? The agricultural component of the jail. We did not go to the nursing home. I guess that's it. It was a really good day. The gentleman that runs it is he could sell anything. He's just sitting there. He had a real rapport with the inmates and with his help. It was an interesting day.
As a result of your tour, what do you see us doing? Anything different?
Well, I think it's a shame, we've got a kitchen in there and we don't do anything with it. Can we, they had 6 or 7 women prisoners doing the cooking. They had a chef, and they had the head lady there that don't shake hands with you because your hand's broken by the time you leave. And she was only a little tiny thing. But we can't, with what we have currently, we can't match, even come close to what they're doing in the kitchen. But we certainly could do some things. In fact, I'm not sure what our kitchen has the capabilities to do, but when you can make a loaf of bread for $1.15 rather than buying it outside for $4, it's something to look at.
Would you suggest that we get back into raising or growing potatoes?
Well, not if we can buy them from them. They had bags and bags and bags for sale. But we certainly could raise some other stuff. They're now, so they slaughter 2 pigs, is it a month, Will? 2 pigs a month to feed for the nursing home.
For the jail.
For the jail, that's right.
They're gonna send their first 2 out here within the next month, he said. And they got the local butcher shop right down the road, and they're just gonna basically hang the meat and bring it back on the bone and everything, and then they have someone, I think a CO or somebody that's got experience in cutting up the meat, and so they're gonna cut it all and process it all right in their kitchen and freezer bag it all right up, right in their own kitchen is what they were
This
doing.
all federally inspected?
Yes, it's a federal inspected butcher
Slaughterhouse?
Yep. And they said it would come in boned out, so all they had to do
Or
was
boned out,
cut it up and
Mhm.
freeze it or do it. And they also, I understood them to say, I could be wrong, didn't he say, Will, they were gonna stop trying to raise a couple of beef?
They want to start keeping 1 to 2 bull calves a month, so that way when they get old enough, the 1 to 2 cows will be going out a month to put into their freezer also to feed over at the jail. And maybe jail and nursing home, but I know for the jail for sure.
Well, that was another thing that people don't know. They have the last dairy farm of any county, and they milk 70 cows. We had the opportunity to talk to a couple of the inmates that get up gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning and goes over and does the milking and cleaning, and then goes back in the afternoon. We woke him up out of a sound sleep. But he was a city boy, and it was nice to listen to him, what he learned, what he developed, and the responsibility of going over there every day. It was a real experience.
Okay, you got any other reports?
Yep. Let me get my handy dandy little chart out here. I attended the performance audit subcommittee meeting. Maybe Commissioner Kenney would like to speak about that. She was there also. And on Sunday from 11 to 2, the nursing home, the Friends of the Nursing Home put on a dinner and a lunch. Everybody's meal was free, Mr. Brown. The place was packed, but there were some problems with the outside, which is what I'm going to discuss with Willie and Bob and Wayne when they come in. There were a lot of people. There was a band. There were games for the kids. It was just a nice time and a good meal.
And the purpose of the meal?
It was just a gathering for all of the families to come in. There were the friends of, whatever the technical name is, the friends of the Mountain View Nursing Home or Mountain View community, put it on, paid for the whole thing, paid for everybody's meals, and it was delicious. And it was a nice time. There wasn't an empty table. There were grandchildren, great-grandchildren, everything. You know, it was a good day.
Mr. Kenney, you want to talk about the performance audit subcommittee?
I attended last Monday to performance audit. They were giving job descriptions about business office. They were looking through it. The next meeting will be in 2 weeks. They also said if the commissioners has any suggestions or ideas, they need to submit it. So email it to Mr. McConkey. so they can look at it if they just want to add it to the performance audit.
Go ahead.
I think Commissioner Kenney would agree with me. They didn't seem to want to discuss it with us face to face. We made 2 attempts to say that we'd be coming in, and they said, no, they'd rather have it in writing. Would you say that was correct, Commissioner Kenney?
I think they maybe had a reason, and they didn't want to have like maybe going into long discussions, so they thought it was maybe more efficient and effective if we submit our IDs or any suggestions.
Anything else? Any other reports to make?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
I have a couple items. I have the New Hampshire Association of Counties. I have a book here.
You have
That-
what?
Yes. The New Hampshire Associations of Counties. I think a couple years ago I read it, but we probably have new employees, and it's always good to check it again. And this was given to the commissioners and said, most importantly, the board is the entity with the authority to take action. As an individual board member, you lack that power and authority. All 3 members have equal votes and equal authority. A county commissioner can only exercise power and authority to formal board action. And there's a couple more, but I'm not reading that today. On July 31st, Commissioner Sorensen and a minute taken and the HR director had a meeting in the HR office. I'd just like to have the minutes of that meeting.
There were no minutes taken. Why would?
It is, you had a meeting, there should be minutes taken.
No,
No.
there's
Why?
only one commissioner there.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, but you were setting procedures. You were setting procedures there. After the commissioners' meeting, you had another meeting. I went down and a couple people told me that Commissioner Sorensen is there with a minute taken and the HR director, you may want to go there. So I came quick in the room and said, what is going on? And you said to me, you cannot be in the room because I'm going to talk to him and talking about minute setting procedures. And I said, you cannot do it, I'm the clerk, and you need to do it with the whole board. And after that, I did get an email about what procedures is set. But still, you had a meeting, and there should be also minutes from that meeting.
The meeting was not posted. There was only one commissioner there. I think I have the authority to talk with any department head that I'd like to talk with
But
without
not-
having any minutes or anybody else being concerned about it. Any action taken would be brought up here before the Board of Commissioners.
But not having another minute taker and setting procedures, having 2 people, and I got an email, how we going to move on, how we doing the minutes. So I got an email, so action was taken, procedure was set.
Well, Commissioner Babson.
I would just like to point out, since I've been on the board, that I've heard many, many tales about Commissioner Kenney meeting with other people, and we haven't had any reports from her.
You can talk
Okay.
to one or any employee and meeting with any, I don't know who I'm meeting with because you're 5 days a week here. So I hear from you are the one that I'm meeting and
Okay,
going to the jail.
what's your other,
I have that
what's your other
report.
issue?
I also want to talk about, there were suddenly minutes found in a red binder, so probably Janice Sullivan was blind, she couldn't see it. Janice Sullivan was an investigator and an attorney. And when she took office, I said, as a clerk, I need to store all the minutes, so if you find any minutes or confidential information, I will store it. And the office is small, you have only a couple file cabinets, and she went through everything for the last 6 months, and she looked through it, and she said there were no minutes, no notes, no nothing. That is what she reported to me. And soon when we have a new HR director, I find it strange that in 2 weeks she's coming with a red binder. Just want to bring it up. The other thing what I want to bring up is when the binder was found with information and paperwork and a CD, I got an email and it said it was given to Commissioner Babson. Commissioner Babson was at the time not even on the board. He's not even the clerk that he had to hold and store the CD
I don't know what you're
or
talking
not
about.
public information. It was given to him, and I think he was maybe privy to that information. I don't know where he brought a CD. He brought it maybe home. But I don't think it should have been given to him. It should be coming here and given to the board and not to Commissioner Babson.
I would say again, Commissioner Kenney, if you have an issue, I'd like to see documentation in writing that shows that what you say is correct.
You got that same email.
I don't remember seeing that email. I don't remember hearing
Then-
anything about red binders given to Commissioner Babson. I'm sorry, I just don't
I
remember
didn't
that.
say it red binders. I said it CD.
Okay, Commissioner
I can
Babson.
clear it up,
Probably
Mr.
that too.
Chairman.
Okay.
It was before we started the Ed's 91A request. Either Cheryl or Kathy brought it in and put it on my desk. One of the advantages of being here 5 days a week, Commissioner, is you get to see the stuff. And they put it on my desk. It was notes, there was no minutes. I brought it up here to the non-public session. I didn't read it, other than to see that it was notes. And we got it,
I've got it
there it is
right here.
right there. We've had it the whole time, and I don't know what the big fuss is about.
Okay, let's move on.
So-
Yes, let's,
May
So
I
the
just
email is-
May I just clarify one thing?
Yes.
I was not going to be here that Wednesday, the day after I found that red binder. I gave it to Commissioner Babson Tuesday evening, because I did not want to give it to anyone else that did not have it. So you didn't get it from Kathy or Cheryl, you got it from me, because I said this needs to go to the meeting tomorrow morning, because it was found Tuesday, and I was not going to be present Wednesday because I had a meeting in Concord, and therefore I gave it to Commissioner Babson, because he is one of the 3 commissioners that would be attending the next day's morning meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Good for
Okay.
clarifying it that it was not given
Let's
to the
move
other
on.
employees.
The next item on the agenda, you have any further reports? If not, we're to open up bids for the timber sale, and I have 2 bids. Why don't you open up one, you open up the other?
And this is again for timber sale. How many bids did we receive?
Yeah, 2
3?
bids.
2?
2.
just said we got 2 bids.
So the first one is from Taylor and Sons Incorporation, Porter, Maine.
Did a good job.
Seems that it was already open.
At least I got a sharp knife. Mr. Chairman, I gotta take a minute to read this, because I would imagine that both of these bids, well, maybe they're not, does it? Did they come back? Does Commissioner Kenney's look the same as mine?
What?
I don't know, what's yours look like?
I have,
Yes, they're the same.
Okay,
so we got that one bid.
no, 2 bids, same process, same form that was used.
Same
Oh,
format.
okay.
You have a bottom line figures?
The other thing.
Let me look through it. They wrote some notes here on the side. Courtyard and truck or, no. Logs. This is one, it says the logs. This is a copy, I guess. This is the, that's the references. Okay, so where is the money? It's at 85 per quart. There's all kinds of numbers here. $85 per quart, it said. And it said here at the site is a note. See if I can read the handwriting here. Courtyard and truck for $240 MSE to Green Crow Yard in Tamworth. Will, do you want to come to read this?
No,
What
no.
it is? Oh, okay.
Not yet. What's the second page say?
References. Is it here on this page something? I think maybe that is what they give out here. I think they just put prices from the different, that said red oak, hard maple, birch. I think this is it then. There is no one really amount.
Okay, Commissioner Babson, what do you have?
Could I look at that bid, please, Commissioner?
Commissioner Babson's looking at one from William A. Day
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jr. and Sons Logging, Chipping, and Trucking, 28 Wild Turkey Lane, Porter, Maine.
So they vote for me.
Well, yes, it would. Quite frankly, Mr. Chairman, I'm not comfortable with making a decision on this. I'm not in the logging industry, and I would hope we would get some help from maybe Wendy. and-
What we could do
and
is
Will.
give both these bids to Wendy to cross-check them and see which one is the more favorable one.
As you can see, there's no total, but
No.
they vary from what the price, if they're gonna leave firewood on the landing, to various prices on the,
Right.
per thousand board feet, the price of chips. I would certainly hope we'd get some help, and I think you got a good idea. Let Wendy look it over and give us an idea of which one we
Okay,
should be
Will, you
leaning
had
towards.
a comment?
I was just gonna say that my guess is probably that's all broken out into different categories that Wendy's broken out, that the bids came back in, so it might be
Yeah.
better off for your information to let her do the calculations and
Yes.
give you some totals, so you can have a
Okay.
comparison on totals after she gets done with the calculations, just on prior
That's exactly
experience that
what
we've
it is,
had
Will.
Yes, it
with
is.
timber sales. That would be my suggestion.
Can I
Okay.
have that
Is there a
envelope?
name on that one?
Yes, there is. William Day, it looks to me like it's J something, I can't read it,
Okay.
but they are also in Port of Maine. But we need help on this one.
Well, I need to compare them. Wendy,
Yeah,
would you do that?
sure.
Come back next week with a,
Sure.
Wendy, could you email us a rough price, and so that we can develop some questions? We have just what you put in would come off. What if there's more? What if there's less? What if we don't need the more, and we don't need the firewood? What happens if we want more?
that's it.
It looks to me like there's a lot of flexibility in this bid, and we want to make sure that.
And the bids are based on two different
Yeah.
options. One is leaving 175
Right.
cords of wood on the landing. One is trucking that wood down to the processing area on the county.
Oh, so that's what he meant by, okay.
Right, and so basically what we need to do with those bids now is, they've given us a price for various products, everything from saw logs, pallet, pulpwood. We need to basically put together a spreadsheet that says, this is the amount of wood we have, we anticipate coming off this sale, this is the amount of white pine we have, they're willing to pay us this for it, and basically create a
Yeah,
spreadsheet to figure out which bid is the better bid.
And when they say X amount, that means if we, can I see, it's beginning to make sense now, Dave, I gotta see the one from Taylor. When they say per thousand board feet, that's, and you've given 175 cords, can we assume that if it's 200 cords or 225, that that'll still be the price?
The first 175 cords of firewood will come here to the county. If there is more firewood,
Excuse me, I'm talking when they're actually talking about the, oh, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
if, let's say we get 200 cords of firewood from this timber sale, that additional 25 cords, there's a price on there for hardwood pulpwood. They would pay that, and they would truck that off-site, take it to a mill, have it processed. So they'd be purchasing anything above the 175 cords.
Okay, the second column reads, price based on trucking, 175 cords of wood processing, to wood processing area in the county farm. There's a figure there.
Yep.
The next one is units, that's 1,000 board feet. Species is white pine. Product is saw logs. Why would they be putting a price in for pine, white pine saw logs to go to the wood processing area at the county farm?
We didn't, last year what we did was we asked for, or at the last timber sale we asked for prices for various products, and then we asked for prices to cut yard and haul wood to the processing area. What that ended up causing was we got checks in paying us for the wood that went, let's say the white pine, to mills.
Yeah.
They paid us a certain price. Then Will had to pay them back
So
per
much to truck
cord.
it to the.
So we were trying to simplify money coming in and out, and so we just said, as part of this sale, we expect to get 175 cords of firewood. So please bid accordingly. And so for every 1,000 board feet of pine that comes off the forest, they will pay us a certain amount. And that assumes that they are, with everything else that they're harvesting, that they're gonna bring that wood or leave that firewood for us to process. And that means we'll be getting money in, but we won't be paying money out. It won't be going in both directions, so hopefully it'll be easier bookkeeping wise.
So the fact that it's 175 cords of wood in the processing area doesn't specify firewood.
It is firewood.
It is firewood.
It is firewood.
So their price of X is over and above that 75 cords that's going to the wood processing area, even though it's all white pine? Or is it gonna be from stick number one, it'll be X?
I think that the loggers, and when you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we kind of got a bunch of stuff out here going like this, and we're trying to draw it in to be a little bit more precise for the next
Right.
few log cuts that are going on. So in doing that, I haven't seen them, Wendy, no, so obviously seeing what you're looking at. Some of there might be some confusion from the loggers of what they wrote on there. And it might be confusing you, I don't know, because I'm getting confused listening to all this. But maybe what we need to be able to do is let Wendy look at this and put it into a spreadsheet formula so you can compare all the white pine logs, all the red pine by day and tailors, and that's what I'm assuming Wendy wants to do, and give you a spreadsheet so you can look at it a lot clearer than what they have in there, and maybe that'll hopefully answer some of your questions, be a little more clear.
Just as an example, the white pine, let's say for 1,000 board feet of white pine, prices average anywhere from $100 per 1,000 board feet to $150. So if we didn't have the firewood involved at all, we'd get a bid probably somewhere in that range. Because the firewood is involved, my guess is those bids are gonna be lower because they've got time and effort
So they're taking
involved
some of the cost of hauling the firewood to the landing
out of
the
those
sale
other
of saw
prices.
logs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's done per 1,000 board feet or per ton, because if we overrun, if there's more wood out there, we're still gonna get, if there's more white pine out there, I estimated around 30,000 feet. Say there's 35,000 feet, we'll still get paid whatever per 1,000 board feet.
Yeah.
And the same would be if we underrun, if we come out at 28, we'd get paid per 1,000 board feet.
Okay.
So what I'll do with these is I'll put together, like Will says, a spreadsheet that looks at what the expected volumes are to come from this timber sale, along with their bid prices, and come up with bottom line totals.
And any other variable that we as non-loggers might
Sure.
not think of.
Sure, and one of the variables that is included in this is, do we leave the cordwood up on the landing or do we truck it down? And that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to look at the difference in prices and figure out what makes more sense. You know, there's the possibility that Will can take the processor up on the hill if it's gonna cost a lot more to have them truck the wood down here. So that's another variable that's why we asked for two different prices.
Sooner or later, the wood ends up here though, correct? Will?
Yes.
Yes.
So either they truck it or we truck it?
Right, when we're trying to, you know, ideally, if it's not a big deal, I would rather have it trucked here, it's gonna be easier on our end. But if there's a big price difference, this first time, I'm willing to say, well, let's try to save some money, let's try it up there. It might not work out if we have it up there, us trucking it back might just be inefficient. And the next time we do a log cutting, we may just have them truck it. I don't know, but I'd like to give it a chance, so that's why we asked the loggers to have both in there this time. And Wendy will compare that, and then we'll go from there on price and which way we should take.
What's the timing on the logging operation?
We have to figure out which is the high bidder. They have 30 days to sign a timber sale agreement, and then they can start any
So in
time.
the timber sale agreement, we set the time.
The prospectus, I've said that it should be completed by the middle of May, but ideally, we're looking for either dry ground conditions or frozen ground conditions, so we may need to extend that if we don't get the right conditions to do the harvesting. Because of the steepness of the hill, dry conditions is probably going to make the most sense just for being able to move the equipment around, and so that could be challenging to get those conditions.
Yeah.
But that will be the next step is moving forward with a timber sale contract with whoever the high bidder is.
Okay, bring it in next week?
Yes.
David, while we've got Wendy here, and may I ask Will a question while Wendy's here?
Yeah, good.
Will, are you here to discuss the right-of-way?
No, Wendy's
I
working.
thought I'd bring it up if
Yes.
both you and Wendy are here at...
Wendy can probably fill you in more. She's meeting this morning, I believe, today.
Yes. Yeah, I've met with the district
Can
ranger.
you fill them in with what the problem is?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Please?
Sure. My understanding is that last fall, somebody came to the commissioners' meeting and asked for permission to use the right-of-way across county property to access a lot right on the Wolfboro line.
Yeah.
They were granted permission to move the right-of-way slightly, and I believe there were some conditions that were set by you. And one of the things I need to find out from you guys is what those conditions were. Basically, the way they left the property is not how it should have been left. They didn't use best management practices. They created a really muddy area about 70 feet wide across Will's Field when they were supposed to have, my understanding is, a 25-foot right-of-way. They also caused some drainage problems and siltation onto the field. All of those issues, though, what I feel is the next step is to find out what they were expected to do and then draft a letter saying what we expect them to do to resolve the problems up there. DES and the Division of Forests and Lands are meeting today to look at the adjacent property and some of the best management practice issues that happened on the adjacent property as well.
Excuse me, Wendy.
But that's sort of beyond the scope of
What do you mean adjacent
this.
property? Aren't we talking about our property?
I'm talking about the logging operation.
The logging
The logging
operation
operation,
itself,
okay.
yes, yeah, so I think our next issue for the right-of-way is, I need to find out what meeting this was discussed in, find out, was there any written agreement for the right-of-way?
Yes, I believe there was.
If
It was to
put it
be
back?
returned back to the same condition as they found it.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not there. And so we do need to follow up. So if I can get that documentation, I can put together, draft a letter of what our
Do you
expectations
know what
are
month
for.
that was?
I think it was around this time of the year last year that they came. The problem I have is I don't have the correspondence that kind of went between the Board of Commissioners, Lori, and this Forrester guy.
Okay.
So I guess the next step that I was going to work with Wendy was to go down and see Cheryl and see if she can find anything down there that was left from when Lori was here, because she kind of is the one that did a lot of the dealings back and forth with the forester, not me. I just was brought in to ask if it was okay, basically, and we talked about it, and then that was all I was
Go
given.
ahead, Commissioner Babson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you can't find any information, I was here that day, and probably in my notes, somewhere in my house.
We should have it, though.
Well, I
might
think
be
we
able
have
to
the
find
benefit
it.
of the government oversight website. I'm hoping that,
Yes.
I already sent you that video 4 months ago, and all of the commissioners have that video in your email.
okay,
This was discussed a few weeks ago.
okay,
So
great.
there
So,
is-
so we can at least hear the
Okay.
discussion and have that if we can't find any written documentation.
Okay.
So,
Wayne?
For the record, Will and I met with the logging forester that was involved with that project, and he assured us that they would return everything exactly the way they found it.
Yeah.
Now, Will and I both visited the site during the logging operation, and it was a mess, and it's a real mess up there now, so they need to fix it.
Okay. Then, do your investigation, find out where it is, and if not, we'll have to go back to the film. Okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank
I
you,
remember,
Wendy.
just as you said, David, it would be put back
Yeah.
just the way it was before they started.
I mean, that would be common sense to do
Yep.
that.
What's Wayne's last name?
Scribner.
Wayne.
Oh, Wayne
Oh,
McBride.
Brian.
McBrine, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
Wayne McBride.
M-A-C-B-R-I-N.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Okay, Will?
Nope, that's okay.
Just have a couple quick things about the farm. Most of what we had to talk about was what we just talked about and what's coming up to talk about.
Okay.
Meantime,
Geez, slow down.
I noticed it's been a while since I've given a report for the farm, so a lot of the same stuff has been going on. We've been doing a lot of haying. We're pretty much done with all the first cut hay. The exception to that is a field that we were just discussing about up there, up the road where this problem happened. I haven't done that field yet this year. That's usually a mulch field anyways, and I need it to be pretty dry. But along with what they've created up there, as far as mud, I have to have it extra dry because when we went up there, I pretty much had to be in a four-wheel drive pickup just to drive where we always used to drive two-wheel drive. So I haven't done that one yet. We started some second crop earlier this week. That'll probably end up going into mulch hay because we got some rain, but we're low on mulch hay. We have a lot of first cut hay in the barn for sale. So we're still working on the hay. We started wood deliveries. Mark's out delivering wood as we speak.
Which type?
Cordwood.
Both? Oh, cordwood?
Cordwood. Yeah, we've been doing both. We've had a lot of campfire wood going out this year. That's coming to an end. We may have one more possibly, but I've been talking with the camp managers, and I think we got them stocked enough for the fall, so we're kind of switching gears.
You got a question regarding wood
Yes.
deliveries?
Will, are you keeping, it doesn't have to be totally accurate, are you keeping some kind of a time chart?
We have the hours, so when there's an hour meter right on the machine. On the machine.
Oh, okay, great.
So I can get you that at any time of how many hours that we're actually processing wood. So those are starting, and we'll also be starting into processing wood and stacking wood for the next season and for this winter to start bagging. So that's going on out there. The garden is coming to an
Before
end.
we leave of wood, are we meeting what we had, our expectations were? Are we meeting those goals? Number of bags of firewood?
I haven't totaled it up. I need to total it up. I know that we're pretty close. We might be a little bit off because the prison farm came back online, so we didn't deliver as many as anticipated originally.
Yep.
But we've definitely had a big boost compared to last year.
Okay.
And I know that just because of how many we've actually bagged. So I'll have a more accurate total when I add that up in the computer. The garden is coming.
Question?
Oh, sorry.
Well, how did the state penitentiary come back online? I thought there was a quarantine, and that's why they couldn't.
My understanding is there was a quarantine in Merrimack County, but there would.
Couldn't go outside the county.
it couldn't go outside the county, but their wood that they're buying log length in came from Hillsborough County. So they brought it, it was outside the county, they brought it into the county, they processed it, and now they can send it out. I don't understand all the stuff. I would think that wood going out is wood going out, but maybe there's some politics. I don't know. I have no idea.
That makes no sense at all.
It's above my head, but
Okay.
that's what I read on the bags. They had to label each bag. When I went to one of the campgrounds, they had some of their bags there, and they had each one of their bags labeled. This came from Hillsborough County. It's not,
Processed by,
was processed by a prison farm, but it doesn't have any ash bugs and all this kind of stuff on each bag. So that's beyond me, and I guess they're allowed to do that. So that's what happened.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
The wood processor, so it works okay? That is the one that you're releasing, that's the new one, eh?
Yes, ma'am. That's a new one. It's been working very well.
Okay, and if it breaks down, are they giving us a new one or fixing it?
Yes, it's under warranty for,
Okay.
I believe it's, certain parts are 1 year, other parts are 2 years. We haven't had any breakdowns, but I also have the dealer's information, which I can get parts, and direct to the company out where it was made. I can call either place to get parts, and generally, from my understanding, by talking to the company out there, that they can overnight parts if we had a problem. Knock on wood, we haven't had a problem yet. It's been running good.
Yeah, okay, and was it 10,000 a year the lease again? How much was it a year?
$9,500, $9,600,
Oh, okay.
somewhere's right in there, just below 10,000, ma'am.
Okay,
For what?
She's talking about the 4-year payments that we're making on the
just under
processor, I believe.
10,000. Yeah. Okay, well.
and the last question what I have is, you said here.
Haven't got there yet. Commissioner, go ahead, finish your
Oh.
report.
Okay. The garden's coming to an end. Pretty much, we got tomatoes left out there that we're still picking with a cooperative extension. Then we're gonna be moving into the winter squash, which has a really good crop from what's out there. And then some pumpkins. I'm not sure how well our pumpkin patch has done. The germination rate wasn't great. And there's, of course, once they start spreading out, we can't get in there to weed it, and there's a lot of weeds in there. So we basically wait for frost to kind of find that information out.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Will and I, as I said, were up at Grafton with Jason yesterday, and one of the things that they do that caught Will and my eye was they have a pumpkin patch in there that they raise, well, I don't know how many hundred pumpkins were in the thing, but they bring in the third grade, Will?
It was some elementary
They
school
bring in the
type
elementary
age.
school and give them a pumpkin and have a big day and
I think he
pumpkin
called it,
carving contest, and it brings the community into the county complex.
Something we do next year.
I believe he called it Commissioner Pumpkin Day or something, because
Yeah.
the actual commissioners get out there in the field with the kids and help do, pick pumpkins, I believe.
Yep. It's something we ought to think about.
Yep, question?
Go ahead.
The last item here, what you
We haven't
said.
got there yet, Commissioner.
But why can't he talk then?
Because
as
he's
a
talking
commissioner?
about the item that's under discussion, that one right there. Will, continue, please.
The next thing is the catch basins cleaned. Last week, we had I forget what the company's name, New England Catch Basin, something along those lines. We coordinated, Wayne made some phone calls and did a good job of coordinating with the town of Ossipee. And so when Ossipee was having this company come up and do their catch basins, the town sent one of their guys, while he was taking around to their catch basins, came and did our catch basins at the same time. I haven't gotten the bill on that, but it didn't sound, because we budgeted for it this year, because we planned to do that, and the price that Wayne was given by, he slipping my mind now, up there at the
Brad Harriman.
Brett, thank you, from Mr. Harriman, was a lot less than what we budgeted, so I think we'll be okay. We just haven't seen the bill yet.
Make sure that goes in your annual report, cooperation with another town,
Okay?
okay? Go ahead.
Well, the materials they take out of the catch basins, I'm assuming you're talking about street catch basins, not anything with a septic system.
Right,
Okay.
just here.
What do you do with the material? Do we have a compost pile that we put it in, or?
It was
what do you do?
it was primarily just sand that came out of there that they sucked out. So they had filled their truck with the sand, asked if the town dumps it somewhere generally, but since they were here and the truck filled up halfway through doing ours, he asked if we had a spot, and I had a spot out back. I said, sure, you can just dump it out there to save time. So they dumped it out there, finished our catch basins, and then continued on for the towns.
So it's here if we want to put some more sand in front of the jail or whatever we need.
I don't think it's very good quality stuff, to be honest. I dumped it out by a hole that could be used for fill, basically. It's
It's not clean at all.
no.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Third quarter testing is going to be taking place. We have to take some special tests this month that have to go down to Concord, and then our regular scheduled stuff. So that'll be taking place here probably this week. We'll be working on that. And then also coming up here in the next end of this month and then in October, Wayne and I in particular have to go to a few more classes to get our enough contact hours to maintain our licenses, because all of our licenses come up due every other year, and this is the year that they're due. Something new that's going to happen, I got an email on it, I haven't had time to really clearly read it, but they're going to start, in the past we've only had to take these classes for our water tests, or for our water licenses. Now the wastewater side, which is a different set of licenses that we have, is going to start requiring us to take classes also. But some of the classes, I believe, will cover, you take one class and those hours can go to both licenses on some of them. So that's something new that's going to be coming up that I'm going to have to investigate a little bit more and budget a little bit more in that realm for those classes. It's not a huge, I say budget for it, but it's not a huge financial piece. It's just a little extra classes that we may have to do.
Okay, Commissioner Kenny, now
Yeah.
is a chance to raise
Okay,
your questions.
no more questions. He gives a good report, so I got enough information.
Okay. Wayne,
We
you
just
got
One
something
more
to add
thing
to it?
add to the catch basin issue, is that the only catch basins we've done so far are the ones down by the jail. We still have ones to do here on the complex. They're gonna be returning next week to do hours, but it's only gonna take a couple hours.
Okay,
Question?
go ahead.
Do they dig those, Wayne, or vacuum them?
They
Vacuum.
They flush them with water, Commissioner Babson, and then they suck the water back out. They multiply it, basically.
Status of the pole barn?
It's still out there, the pile of wood.
Okay.
We're moving, as soon as I get the hay done, that's our next goal, is that we'll be heading, I'm gonna have to cut a few more logs to have milled out, and then start construction again. That's my goal, is to start working on that this fall.
I haven't heard much about the pigs lately. Where are we on the pigs?
The pigs, we've had, I got piglets for sale. We've had 4 litters out there. Farm day, we had 1 litter. I've weaned that litter off, sold most of those. I have a couple more litters that are getting weaned off here in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, total how many
We had,
piglets?
geez, we were over 40 originally, somewhere, and that's counting stillborns. But down for sale, I was down to about 35 originally that I'll be selling, and I've sold quite a few of those. And I'll probably have, we talked some discussion, I know Commissioner Babson brought it up, about me donating some pigs for meat-wise to the nursing home. And as the plan's going, I'll probably have up to 3 pigs next year, next late spring, that'll be able to be donated to the nursing home.
These would be sows?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner
Thank you,
Babson.
Mr. Chairman. Well, are you keeping any records so that the delegation voted not to give you any seed money to start a program here with pigs? Are you keeping any records? You said that, as I recall, that in either 2 or 3 years you'd be in the black.
Yes, I'm keeping every record, every receipt
Okay.
that I buy something with, I've kept it. And so I have an accurate tracking system that I'm doing money out, money in, basically. I gotta update it because I've been selling a lot of pigs lately, piglets. I'm hoping, this year was supposed to be my second year. I got set back because a lot of learning on my part, but I didn't have a bore, and I borrowed a bore, and the bore became a dud and didn't get his job done, and that set us back. So instead of having 1 litter this year, we had 2 litters, and then my 3-year figure was to have 2 litters a year. So it's kind of my fault, and I'm correcting that. But I still think that in 3 years we wouldn't be making money, but I think I'll be able to come pretty close to even.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Howie, Bob Murray, Wayne McBride.
It's a bad crew. Come on, you guys, you're not going to a funeral. Mr. Chairman, I put this on the agenda for
Okay.
today, and I didn't want to bring it up when I was discussing what a lovely lawn party they had over at the nursing home. Howie, it was terrific, but there was a problem.
Only if you were downwind.
If you're down, as a discriminating manure spreader as I am, I've spread a lot of chicken manure. The odor
Was it
out there-
familiar to you?
Yeah, not this one. The odor out there was just not acceptable. The band had played, it was playing almost on top of it. Apparently, the grease traps had been cleaned the week before, and you gotta get the water level up to whatever it is so that the odor is blocked. That's, I think Wayne told me, roughly 5,000 gallons of water per
That's how much it
tank.
takes to,
The three of them.
Yeah.
We've got to do something about it. Wayne and Bob both mentioned rubber gaskets, but we paid $22 million for this
20.
facility. 20, whatever it is. We have an outside facility that the people could use, and they can't use it on certain days because it stinks.
So what's the solution? I don't
Ask
understand.
these town commissioners, please.
It has to be full of water to keep the smell down?
No, we're gonna seal the lids.
I didn't get a copy.
Okay.
We're not here to hang anybody, we're here to see if we
Well,
can figure out a
we can fix the
solution to this
situation.
problem.
It's not a big deal.
It's really, just by the nature of cast iron lids, they don't sit tight. They just don't sit tight, and then you've got pick holes for the tool to remove the lid. You've got some airflow.
Isn't that the job of the architect?
No,
To build that?
typically they don't get sealed, unless there's a need to.
It's not a normal practice to seal.
No, it's not normal practice to seal lids.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Those particular manhole covers on the grease traps, but they're a little bit different design than a normal manhole cover. When they sit on the riser, the pick hole is actually not in the lip, in the lip. It's actually exposed. So if you walk up, you can look down inside the tank, inside the pick hole.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Even if I have water enough to keep the tees covered, you're still gonna get some smell coming out of those tanks. So what Bob and I have done is we went out and looked at them, and we've come up with a price for rubber sealing them, which, and also plugs for the pick hole. So that will keep the smell from coming out. It's gonna put a little more burden, like the stink pipes on top of the nursing home. That's how it vents, okay? All the air inside that tank. Whenever you displace water, you have to replace it with air. It has to be able to go back and forth. And that's the purpose of those pipes on top of the roof. So this is gonna put a little more burden on those pipes. And if the wind's blowing wrong, you might smell that. In the wintertime, when the air is heavy, you might have that coming down, but we have it at this building now, sometimes in the wintertime. But this will stop that from happening in the summertime. If you folks wanna have a get-together outside, you won't have the smell issue to deal with anymore. My only concern is that when I have them cleaned, and I also apologize, Howie, because I didn't know you were having a get-together out there, and I scheduled the grease pumping just prior to that, I didn't know. I would suggest in the future, just, the wind direction normally is this way. If we had put the tent back, we wouldn't have had any smell issues. I know you put it there for a reason, but I think with in defense of the architects that designed that building, they didn't expect anybody to set up a tent in the fire road where the tanks are. So, maybe in the future, we could think about putting it on the grass.
Upwind.
Yeah, exactly. But we can fix this. And Bob was good enough, I didn't have time yesterday to get the figures together. Actually, Bob Murray did them for me at a cost of approximately $300, and we can do the labor. We could rectify the situation.
Well,
Okay.
do it.
Yes, sir.
And you're absolutely certain that the odor came from the grease pits?
Yes, sir.
Nothing else?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Grease smells very different.
Well, it didn't smell any different to me.
Well, regular septic, Commissioner Babson, as you know, would have an odor to it. Grease traps have a totally noxious, different odor that's 10 times more potent, and that's what you were smelling.
Well, I can tell you it was more potent, Wayne. I can tell you, to me, it smelled just like septic.
We're gonna fix it for you.
Okay. Well, let's try that first, and if that doesn't work, we'll move on, try something else.
My only concern through the whole thing is that when we have the grease company come to remove the covers, I'm gonna have to be there with the driver to make sure he doesn't damage the seals, that's all. And when we have a tank inspection when they pump, we have to inspect the tanks visually to make sure they do a good job, so it's not an issue.
How often do they come?
Twice a year, David.
Twice a year.
Yes.
Okay, problem solved. Anybody else got any further comments? No? Go ahead.
One of the suggestions while we were out and talking to the guests and the family members that were there, two things, actually. I talked to Willie yesterday about the little garden that he put in that's 10 feet circle. It's harder than a clay tennis court at this point, with cucumbers that may be 2 or 3 inches long and only a couple of them. Whether we could dig them out and put some loam in it, and Willie said he'd take care of that. We'd make it rectangular or round or whatever. But the bigger issue with several people I talked to was, I didn't realize what it was. You just called it the fire road. I don't know whether we have to keep it that way, but several of these people said, wouldn't that be a nice place if we could turn that into taking the plants from in front of the old nursing home and putting them in that road?
No.
Can't. You gotta have fire access. That was a big problem.
They can't, the fire trucks can't drive.
Can't drive over
along
the plants? I don't know.
or over the plants?
And it
For the
has,
one fire we might have in 100 years?
and that, I don't know if you could grow plants in it. I think it was designed so that fire trucks, being heavy, would not sink into the mud, and that's why that gravel was in there.
Could we dig alongside of the road and put in landscape timbers and put the flowers
That'd be
on the
feasible.
outside of the road?
That would be feasible. But also, David, when we're plowing in the wintertime, that's my snow dump. That's where I push a lot of the snow away from the building in that area. So if we had landscaping there, I don't know if it'd get damaged, if the plants
It's
would
like
get
putting a
damaged.
curb in there, when you have to plow.
Yeah, but he's not
Paint
talking
on
about
it.
that. He's talking about cleaning from the nursing home down.
Well, I have to
the
keep
road, right?
that access road has to be plowed every storm, and it's very wide. So what I end up with is a lot of snow moving away from the building into that area that you're talking about planting plants. I'm just saying that they could possibly be damaged, or I would have to bucket the snow away, which would cause more.
Well, I don't think you'd want to bucket them away, but I can't believe if you start the plowing when the ground's frozen, the flowers are already in it. What harm is there snow going to do on top of it?
Oh, sure, I'm not saying that if there was something there, like bulbs, that would just come back on them. So I thought what you said first time was like putting landscape timbers up and like a border and then planting in that.
I can see that would be a problem with you plowing.
Yeah. Okay, Will?
No,
Get
that's
some
okay. I was
active-
just gonna say that also along with that is, we've been fortunate the last 2 winters, we haven't had to move snow too bad. We've been able to push it up, but as tight as it is in the front of this nursing home, at some point, our plan was if we had a bad winter, to have to actually truck snow and move snow around, that big backyard was gonna be where we would probably go with a lot of it.
Okay. Anything else you gentlemen have?
I have a
Okay, Chris?
separate report for you.
Okay, you have anything?
No,
further?
that's fine. Thank you very much for
Actually, you have
your
anything for-
cooperation on
For
that.
week, No, I have.
They're going, but Howie's staying.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Will.
You got this in your budget, right?
Yes.
You might want one of those. I just have a few brief things as
Yeah, thank
a
you.
follow-up. There's one for each of you there. First off, the inspection survey update. Last week, I didn't have the written report. We since received the written report and confirmed that we had the exit interview. We're cited for two relatively minor issues. One being the inspection of our fire equipment devices. Our provider had assured us that it was compliant to inspect them quarterly. Well, and it would be if you start your inspection quarterly the quarter before and not the quarter after. So we were cited. That will be corrected by this time tomorrow.
So when is it supposed to be?
Say that again, Howard.
Yeah.
There's an annual inspection on all, and then some semi-annual,
Yeah.
for smoke detectors.
Okay.
Well, the inspector that we hired, or the testing outfit that we hired, didn't want to do them all in 1 or 2 days, wanted to do a quarter, to do it in 4 separate chunks, and assured us that that would comply with the state regulation. Well, it comes close, but it doesn't quite comply,
Why?
because it means that at some point, some of the first quarter, depending when you do it, will be up to half a year late. There could be, the first time, after you get
As long
through
as it's
that
done
first cycle.
annually, though, what difference does it make?
Well, except that it can't be more than 12 months from one inspection to the other. If you defer it, and remember, we had a starting date of September 13th, 2011, when the building opened. So we couldn't creep into this, and truth is, our contractor was wrong. But the good part is, our contractor is standing behind this. They've come in, they're doing 100% inspection this week, and we will be fully compliant. And so they've stood behind it. They made an error in judgment. It's interesting, it wasn't it wasn't a concern to the state last year, but it is this year, and that sometimes happens.
Not enough work for that.
As you say, it's a minor one.
It's a minor, we were never, and the same thing holds true, we were also cited because we allowed our resident funds, many of our residents, we hold money as part of a general fund. And we allowed some residents to go into the red. When they didn't have enough money, but they went out on a trip and got dinner, we still paid for it. We didn't tell them they couldn't go. A minor thing, the regulation is actually a good one. It doesn't apply here, because we're not gonna go out of business and have the people who have money pay for those who don't. So we've since created a separate discretionary account, so that what the state took issue with, and rightfully so, is they didn't want the residents who had money to effectively be paying for the residents who didn't. It isn't really what was happening, but that could happen in another place, in a larger place, and create problems if they went out of business, if funds were misused. Not the case here, we've rectified it, and so we're fully compliant. So our plan of correction for both is going to be completed before we even submit the actual plan of correction on Friday.
Go ahead.
These inspections continue to blow my mind. We had to put a sprinkling system over the ash cans outside of the old nursing home in case there was a fire. I mean, it's just nuts. Why can't we in the budget process put in whatever you think would be a reasonable amount of money, $1,000, $500, so that if some poor soul over there goes below their allowance that's been put in for them, and we need to bring it up to balance it out, you can go to that fund and take out $15 for lunch in 2 places until the money's returned by put back in by their family.
Already done.
Okay.
We have what's considered the old gift card account, which has some discretionary monies that people give. In fact, even at the garden party, a lady came up and gave me a $50 check in memory of her husband that died, and asked specifically that it go to a resident discretionary account. So it's not a lot of money, but we have some monies will cover that. So no county monies will have to be raised and appropriated to do this charitable aspect. Truth is, most of the money, when someone does go into the red, is actually reimbursed later. It's mostly, in speaking with Paula this morning, it's mostly a timing issue, more than it's a lack of money issue. And it was a very efficient system that we were using, but it was not fully compliant in the way that it should.
Go ahead.
Well, how, in signing the checks every week, in the credit card portion that they use when they take residents to various restaurants or for an outing, my goodness, we can't be in the hole on a resident if that's all it's for in a very big way at the end of the month. which leads me to another question. I was in there the other day, and Lisa was working on this big fat checkbook. We can't purchase any kind of a program that will be more cost efficient than her sitting there and stapling every canceled check to the checkbook. My God, the thing was 6 inches thick.
It's still a matter of accountability. I mean, we can certainly, I'd like to convert it to a QuickBooks system, very, very inexpensive
Why
for
can't we?
managing that, but we still need to keep track of those receipts. Documentation, we'll still have those receipts being kept and tracked, but I would like to move those multiple accounts into a QuickBooks thing. And actually, we have Norma, who is now there, is signed up for an Excel course, so Norma will probably be heading that up, if not Lisa too. So we'll be having 2 people.
So the issue here is I guess proving that the nursing home actually took resident A out for lunch and they bought a $7 lunch, so we have to have the receipt stapled to the bill.
Definitely, well,
Is
business.
there a way to save all of these and date them and put them in an envelope? We went down, a lot of them are for the old, it's now the Johnson Dairy Bar down and all. Why can't we put those in an envelope and a file and throw them in there and say, and mark the front of the envelope and store it away? Why do we have to go to the nonsense of stapling everyone to the bill?
Because if Mrs. Smith's family comes in next month and says, my mother's account is down by $12, we need to be able to prove, we're functionally acting as a bank, prove where and how that $12 went. And so
You can in QuickBooks. I use Quicken, and I'm not an expert on it by any means, but
Oh,
with
Quick-
all of the things in there that you're able to use, there's no file in there that you can put down Johnson's Dairy Bar and just type the person's name in and the amount of money they spent.
Is your account inspected by the state?
Probably should be.
Oh, no, I'm
There gotta be a better
I'm not
way, Howard.
disagreeing with you, that would be the right way, but when all is said and done, somebody's gonna wanna see a receipt to show that her mother really went to Johnson's, and this is what she ate, because it's right on the receipt. Fortunately, we're
I
not.
mean, is that realistic? How many people since you've been here have come in and said, I want to see what my parents had at the Whistle Stop in Center Ossipee?
Oh, but it's not because we want to, it's because the state legitimately requires us to, so that we're dealing with a very fragile population that's at risk for being
Oh,
exploited.
absolutely, I understand that.
And so that we have to be doubly diligent, so that no staff member can ever be accused of exploiting a resident.
And I understand the state has a difficult time figuring out how to run a business, or we wouldn't be in the mess we're in.
Okay,
But
how are you?
There's got to be a
Look
better
at
way.
it, look at it, okay?
But we'll
Thank
still-
you, Dave.
Let's move on.
But if
Thank you.
we can, resident lifts, you sent me back last week with a request to see if we could work a different arrangement, and I'm pleased to say that very arrangement that Commissioner Babson suggested has been approved by the company, and that is that we can buy 10 lifts now that they still have at the 50% discount. If in the near term, in the next few months, we're able to go back to the delegation, buy another 10 at that 50% discount, they'll give us an additional 10% on the entire 20, which is what was
60% off?
requested. 10% off of 50 isn't exactly 60%, but it's
Oh.
but it's pretty close.
10% off, 50%.
Another suggestion that was made by Ed Como was, is there any opportunity for a group purchase here? So after the Association of County Executive Committee meeting last Friday, I met with Steve Woods, who's the president of the affiliates group, along with Laurie Shibonette from Merrimack, and we quickly realized that there isn't another county home that has lifts at all. So it was a great suggestion, but there isn't any, and we couldn't have
So
done
what
it.
are they doing without lifts?
They're using the old-fashioned way, the portable, the Hoyer lifts that get wheeled around from room to room, and there's nothing the matter with that, but it's not nearly as efficient or back-saving as the system that we have. And I've also talked to see if there are any, I'm only aware of other facilities in Massachusetts, private facilities, that have lifts at all. So it was a good idea, but it doesn't look as though we have any short-term opportunity. But having said that, then I would ask, for your approval to go ahead with the purchase of the 10, knowing that if the delegation approves, we have the option of another 10 at a further discount.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the 10 that are available right now.
Okay, I'll second it for discussion. Where's that money coming from? To
Well,
purchase the 10 now?
The 10, we've already expended all the money we have for lifts. We've purchased, I think, a total of 5 this year already. So the hope is that with the delegation approval, the entire 1020 would come out of bond funding for construction.
The whole
So we don't have that money right now.
But we can still make the motion to purchase. Well, shouldn't we make the motion? Because the delegation's gonna say, did the commissioners approve this? If we vote to instruct Howie to buy them, then we can figure out when the delegation comes how we get the money.
Shouldn't we first have the money available and then make the motion instead of
Well, like,
So,
go ahead,
it
Commissioner.
cannot be coming out of one of these funds? There are different funds there in the nursing home that you have. We cannot take it out of the Doobie fund, like 10 lifts there out, because it is for all the residents. I mean, they will benefit.
The
from it.
Doobie Fund is a resource for which there is money, and that would be an option. You could, in theory now, approve the purchase of 10 from the Doobie Fund with the hope that the Doobie Fund would be reimbursed if subsequently endorsed by the delegation.
I don't like that one.
I don't like
Okay,
that.
well, that's,
I don't trust them that far.
On the other hand, when I talked to the chairman of the delegation, she suggested that you budget for lifts each year in the budget. Now, at that point, we didn't know there was 50% off. So that might not be feasible to budget 2 each year till they're all completed. Now we've got a deal that we can get them for half price. That's a little different story.
we get twice as many, and that's, you know, we could budget for 5, but we'd be paying on average $3,000 a piece for them for next year, where we can get 10 for,
1,500, we're getting it now.
exactly. And potentially less.
And what you say, next year is going to be $3,000?
Well,
So
we
there's
don't-
no discount for next year?
We don't know when the supply of refurbished units will be exhausted. It only takes anybody else that's building new to go in and buy. I'm estimating that he probably has about 50 in total left. What we don't know is whether, you know, we're gonna be taking the first of that 50 or the last of that 50. They make no pretense that this kind of arrangement will ever be available again.
But you also mentioned we are the only nursing home actually who have lifts.
In New
So
Hampshire.
we're probably going, we are, okay.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Go ahead.
Yes, one thing we learned yesterday at Grafton County, they get a tremendous amount of support from their delegation. And they're far more forward-thinking. They're not worried about saving money today. They're worrying about saving money over the long run. And to me, it's foolhardy if we're gonna buy these things 3 years from now, not to buy them now where we can realize a 50 or 55% savings, rather than just to look good to the taxpayer that we only take 10. And I think it's just, makes no sense at all not to purchase them all and have them if we really need them and we can save that kind of money.
I agree. The question I have is the process of getting that money. If we go in for 20 with the delegation, would they approve it? Or if they disapprove it, we lose all 20. If we buy 10 now and then wait and buy 10 when the delegation meets, that may be a possibility.
Yes, well,
But
that's what I
if we,
suggested.
if we buy the 10 now, where is it coming from? Which line item?
That's what I asked. Where is it coming from?
The line item where it belongs has been exhausted, so it would.
So there's no money.
Is there any other money in your budget that you can move?
If we're, I'm expecting that we're gonna be able to see some savings in payroll. So that as long.
We can't move that.
We don't.
I know, that's
Payroll.
of course, that's really 2/3 of our budget, so there isn't much in the supply and so, and typically, while it's not required, you typically don't mix payroll with other operating expenses.
Delegation's gonna meet in October. Well, any further discussion on the motion?
What
to
is the total
purchase
amount of
10?
money for the 10 hours?
Be $15,000.
15,000, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're making a motion, we're discussing, once again, so where is the money coming from? If we're going to say we make a motion and purchase an item, we need to have the money. We cannot say, oh yeah, we just make a motion, we purchase, and figure out there's no money.
I explained it before, I think, Commissioner Kenney. I agree with you, we should have the money element in it, but I would like to, before we go into the commissioners' meeting and the delegation turns around and said, how do the commissioners feel? I'd rather vote that we've approved the purchase of it. Now we have to figure out where the money comes from.
Okay.
So you approve the purchase,
But we didn't appropriate any money.
Right.
but the delegation, with delegation approval, if they're going to appropriate the money, if we're getting that money, is that what you're going to make? Is that a motion?
Basically.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the purchase of the 10 lifts at this time, and the payment has to be discussed with the delegation.
That sounds a little better.
Ready for the motion?
Yep.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. I assume you voted yes?
Yeah, I already.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that I have is just an update in the garden party. A special thanks to Commissioner Babson for attending and for getting requests for you to do children's birthday parties after people have seen your juggling act, so.
What's this juggling?
Oh, he's pretty accomplished, so he was entertaining the kids out there.
Two things regarding the garden party. One, I don't know if I ever got an invitation, don't remember seeing one. Second, I wouldn't have been able to attend anyway. I was at a military reunion down in Plymouth, Massachusetts over the weekend, come back late Sunday night. So I'm glad that it was a good party, and sorry I missed it.
Well, the reason invitations weren't sent out, this was actually sponsored by the family counselor. And they acted wonderfully independent. So we actually, as an organization, were in a support position rather than and they knew what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it. And so we pretty much tried to stay out of their way except to help. So so I'm not exactly sure how the invitation, if there were any invitations or how they got out.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it was
Yep.
posted here for a couple of weeks. It was posted over the nursing home. It was posted all around that they were going to have it.
Okay,
It was in the newsletter.
And it was in the newsletter.
okay. Very good.
Admission update, question came up last week about whether, the 10, and all had been residents for over a year. There was another question that was brought up about another applicant who's from a nursing home. The rest of the story there is that particular applicant actually moved to that nursing home from out of state. So it was not a local person in a local nursing home, it was an out-of-state person that's now in a local nursing home. Doesn't make them ineligible, but it did meet that essential, that 1 year part that we're looking at. So we've not given up hope.
Are you referring to the one I asked about?
Exactly.
You're telling me she was in a nursing home before she came here?
No, she was from out of state before she came here.
Well, Howard, that family lived here for over 45 years, and because one of the daughters, when she reached the point where she needed care in the home, she went down and lived with the daughter's house in Connecticut as long as they could be handled at home, and then they came back up here to the nursing home that's private pay, and she still sits at number 1 on the list, and I still think it's wrong.
Oh, we're not, and have met with Jennifer, we're not at all giving up hope, but it turned out the story to be a little bit more complicated.
Well, the
So
fact-
she's really not an out-of-stater. She originally was here,
She was here for
had to
45
go.
years.
And is returning,
and then came back.
exactly.
Okay.
In
So
fact,
she-
she
she-
lived
she-
with one daughter in Keene for quite a while, till that daughter couldn't handle it anymore, and she went to Connecticut, and when that got to be the point where she had to go in a nursing home, she came here, so this is where her home is and her friends, so if she can remember them, and so she's over here in Wolfboro.
Oh, no, she's not ineligible,
Well, I certainly hope not.
Okay.
but that is all I have for you.
Well,
Oh, except for, also see an attached thank you.
You've got an
note that was-
interesting letter, and that interesting letter, I think, ought to appear in the paper.
It's the one that was sent to
Melissa?
Becky.
Yes, definitely.
We receive these on occasions, and they don't get any publicity. This is a letter well done by a family, Williamson. I just think it ought to appear somewhere.
I think we ought to get permission from the family to
Can you
publish
just
it, to
put
send
it-
it into the paper and hope it gets published.
Can you just send it, yeah?
Does that have their contact information on it?
Yeah, well,
Maybe Dave should send it.
I'll bet we could find him since he was there for quite a while.
I bet we could too.
Okay?
That's all I have.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
we don't have, after Howard, we don't have,
Minutes?
no, we don't have in Commissioner workshop, but I've got 3 or 4 issues I'd like to bring up. And I didn't want to bring them up on the commission discussion earlier.
Okay. We'll make an exception.
They're not, we already discussed the septic smell. I'm pleased with that. The smoking areas, I brought that up over a month ago or 2 months ago.
Mhm.
Have anything other than the nursing home been taken care of? That was my responsibility. And the
Did you-
farm and the jail, and they don't want to go along with it.
Did you take
Yeah,
care of the
what-
smoking area for this building?
Yes, do I need to report now, or? I thought he was
Yeah.
talking. Isn't that he talking?
Commissioner Babson just gave his.
Oh, okay. I actually talked to Kathy Gary also, because I actually had a designation here at the side of the building, but she said talk to Kathy Gary. And she said she was going to look up the minutes of 2006, because she said it was a non-smoking campus. That's where the signs are around, and I don't know, she talked with to somebody else, and they come up and said there shouldn't be any designated smoking area. Because
Well-
in 2006 it was voted, there was a motion maker voted that it was a non-smoking.
It was voted, but I don't
Campus.
believe that it was voted a campus-wide non-smoking. I think there were, the way it was voted was that they could go out and they could smoke in their cars.
Well, I
I
didn't
think
see
that was
the,
what was passed.
I didn't see the minutes of 2006. She said she was going to pull it up, and
Okay.
I still didn't get it. I have a place, they told me that there shouldn't be any designated area.
And where's the place?
At the left side of the building here. If you're
Away
going
from the
out-
doorway?
Yeah, if you're going outside, yeah, at the left there.
Okay. Further question?
Didn't we have some discussion here when we brought this up originally? Somebody held up a sign that said no smoking or non-smoking area, and that we just, when we decided we were gonna let the nursing home do it, that we had to take those signs down, and it wasn't we weren't gonna have a campus-wide non-smoking. I don't know if
I
we
don't
voted,
believe-
but I know we had a discussion about it, because somebody brought in a photocopy of the sign.
Okay, I don't remember that. All I remember is that we had a vote and they could smoke, but they had to smoke in their cars.
That was
I don't
206,
believe-
I'm talking about within the last 2 months.
Oh,
Somebody was here with a sign. Was it Ann, it might have been Ann Eaton that came in.
Wynette, I think.
was it?
I think it was Wynette who came in.
Somebody came in with a
Pictures of the
picture,
signs that
yes.
are posted on the campus.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
one in front of the
Wow.
building I hear, it said a
I'm losing it.
non-smoking campus.
Well, it's now
So-
been
so-
about 10 weeks since I brought it up. Can we move forward on this smoking thing, please? I've done my
Yep.
share, other people do theirs.
Okay, you did the,
Jail, the farm, and the nursing home.
and they don't want to do it.
Jail and nursing home do, jail and the farm don't want to do it. The nursing home has set their area up.
Okay.
Next.
Okay, then let's set our area up.
I
You
have
did
the
put a
air-
sign up?
No,
Smoking area?
they posted it that they were able to smoke out there.
We ought to
The
put,
other
s-
two didn't have to change because they
yep,
didn't want to change it.
we ought to have a sign made up, smoking area,
Okay.
for 2 places, nursing home and administration building. Okay, go ahead.
Next. I had intended on this week's agenda to have all the department heads come in and discuss cell phones with us. And there was some discussion with Kathy Gary about having everybody come in and sit around. So I'd asked on this agenda, and it didn't get on it, to have the department heads submit some kind of list of who has cell phones in their department. My God, you go down over the bill, and we're paying for some individual, one or two, then we're paying for a cluster of people in an operation, and then another one. I'll bet we're paying for, conservatively, 15 to 20 cell phones on this. And I'm not even suggesting that they're not needed. I'd just like to find out how many we have and if we're getting the best deal, and maybe making some changes if we have to.
Okay, could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
That we inform department heads to have them give us a list of who has a cell phone and for what purpose do they have a cell phone?
And what port, and the other question, Dave, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, is some of these phone people, they're private phones, and we're just giving them a little bit of money towards their phone. So could you make another column, the pay portion? Was it 100%? Is it 50%? Is it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Some of them we pay, give them a stipend for their phone.
Okay.
And the last issue is, which we brought up last week, was mowing of the lawn in front of the courthouse.
Oh, did you bring that up to,
Well, I haven't got that far. I just hope I don't commit a crime and have to go to jail.
okay,
I've had to go around with the court system. They gave me one number. That person gave me another one, that person gave me another one, that person gave me another one. The fourth call was back to the first one. So,
so
anyway.
they don't know who is the
Well,
maintenance person?
while I was away, I got a call yesterday, and I've got to call him back today, from the person that called and said he's in charge, so
Okay,
we'll go from there. But the question is, and I just took a shot, he said, do we own out to the road? And I said, yes. We didn't.
that's a good question.
We didn't give him just that little corner plot.
I don't believe so.
Came out to the road, my recollection, I was on the delegation, and
Check with Registry of Deeds. Let her
I'll
look them
check
up.
with the registry of deeds. I got things to do today.
Oh, okay, I'll do
Be
that.
tied up for an hour and a half. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
But that's all I had today.
Okay. Public input. I did have a great reunion. I hadn't seen some of these officers that I was stationed with over in Germany for 43 years.
Wow.
We had a great time in Boston on the trolley. We went to the different events, was on the Mayflower. We had a nice clam bake on Sunday night. Some of them were from Colorado, some from Florida. The guy I replaced was from Mississippi. It was a great time, and I'm glad I went. I'm glad they held it, so.
You didn't find anybody living right in your backyard you didn't know about?
There was another one in Massachusetts that we didn't know about. Yep. Okay, no further public input? Yes, Melissa?
On the nursing home, about the resident accounts and the stapling of receipts,
Yeah.
did I hear that they have QuickBooks, or how he's looking at maybe implementing that software?
No, you didn't get it.
Go ahead.
I don't believe you heard that, Melissa, because that's the question I asked. He said that they couldn't use QuickBooks. They have to go on this laborious activity that Lisa goes through every time they spend any money.
They still have to have
do it.
receipts,
Right.
backup.
Well, if they use QuickBooks, and I'm not sure about other software, but you can scan receipts right into your computer and file them in the program, and then you throw out all the paper away. Because aren't they moving more towards electronic record keeping
Yeah.
anyway?
Yeah.
So there might be something in that financial piece of their software that would allow them to do that.
will you go over to the nursing home with me and we'll sit down and talk to them about it? I didn't know you could do that.
I don't really know much about it,
You know that they can do that?
I've used QuickBooks in the past, and I know it has an option that you can scan receipts in, so
That'd be
I don't,
good.
I'm thinking
Are you
maybe,
scanning them in?
maybe other accounting software also has that option. That's, I don't know, so.
Okay.
Um,
Anything else?
On the lifts for the nursing home, it's $15,000 for 10. Does the delegation have to vote if you spend bond money?
I have to go back and look at
Are
the
you just doing
bond.
that as a courtesy? I don't understand why.
I'd have to go back and look at the bond. The delegation has said if it's not listed as one of those items, then we need to get their approval to do it.
The delegation has said that, but what does the law say?
Well,
What do the
they-
bond people, what are the bond
Or
people
the bond
say?
people, what are the bond stipulations? I mean,
I hadn't thought of that, it's part of the
the
construction.
delegation
but-
can make their own rules, I
yeah, but
suppose,
we're responsible to the delegation, you know?
But they approve the money and then you're allowed to spend it.
That's correct.
They approve the bond, you're allowed to spend it.
If those lifts are in the bond, then we can spend it. I'd have to check to see if those lifts are itemized in that bond.
Oh, did you have to do that when you got the
Well,
bond? Or-
Go ahead.
And with Melissa?
Go ahead.
I gotta tell you, I'm not an expert, I know very little about bonding. But you're trying to tell me when we took $24 million, it listed every single thing on that bond that money could be used for?
I think,
I mean, there's too many things that somebody might forget that would have been,
miscellaneous? They fall
yeah,
under
maybe it's under
miscellaneous?
miscellaneous, I'd buy that.
I'd have to go back and look, because we did purchase some, and it must have come out of that bond issue. And if it's listed, we have no problem.
Okay, I was trying to figure out why they would still need to be involved because the money was already approved, but, okay. I'm very grateful for the video recordings of the meetings because how you opened your meeting today was very confusing to me, and I'm sure to a lot of other people, all the discussion about he said, she said, minutes, folders, CDs, so I'll sort that out later, but you voted to release 2009 non-public meeting minutes.
Some
Last
of them,
week.
some of them.
Some of them.
I think there's 12 sets. The spreadsheet was updated, and it shows that what you released, all of the 2009 minutes that you released are on the website, as well as the updated spreadsheet, so I don't understand what the purpose of taking the minutes from the building was, or taking them from the secretary. I'm still confused about exactly what happened.
Is the
Okay.
question directed to
Well,
me?
I'm talking to the chairman, I guess he can figure out who
Okay.
wants to
I-
give it to.
Okay. In non-public, we voted to release a number of non-public minutes.
Yep.
We only had one copy of them. That one copy was given to the clerk to make a second copy because she wanted to have a copy for her records,
Okay.
those that are being released, okay?
Right, so they're public.
The second copy was going to be available to the public.
And then when I asked for them, they weren't available, and I was told that they had been here, but then they've been taken
Maybe the
away.
copies had not been made by the time when you asked, I don't know,
Okay.
okay? They will be released, nothing spectacular about them, but,
Well, it appears they have been released because they're on the website,
yep,
so.
yep.
So if they are on the website, she made a copy and she never gave it to me, so she had
You
it.
should have a copy of all of them.
I have the original, so she did make a copy for herself and put it on the website. So why are they telling tales and fibs around that I took copies? She
You were
has the
supposed to
Because
copy.
you did take the copies.
Huh?
Because you did take the copies.
I have the original.
I don't care what you got there, you told her that you give her all she had, and then you came back the next day and took the other copy that she gave. So
Like-
don't say you didn't do it, you did.
Okay.
Like I explained to you, just go watch
I
the
don't
video.
mean to start it all up again, I just am trying to get some clarification on why they were taken if they were released.
Listen,
What the
in the
point?
first place, I have the original. If I didn't give it to her, she had nothing. I asked her a simple text to do to make a copy for me. And she gave me just a bunch of minutes when I asked, where is it, what do you have? She just gave me a bunch of old minutes. So she has the copy because she put it on. And that was not the test. So I don't know why they make a big fib now. She had a copy.
The minutes that we released last week voted 2-1 to release them. They're on the website. She was to make a copy, a hard copy, general public can look at, and she was keeping a hard copy. She had the originals, she keeps the originals.
I
Okay?
still didn't really get an answer to my question. I guess ultimately my question is, why would Commissioner Kenney come into the office and act on her own despite a vote of the board to release the minutes? Why are we?
I don't know how she did that.
I don't know what authority she had to do it.
I already explained it. If I didn't ask her to make any copy, she didn't have it.
So
I
why
just
would-
simply asked her to make a copy, put it in a binder, and put it on my desk.
You didn't take them away from her?
That you don't even listen to what I'm saying.
I'm
I'm
listening.
just saying the text what I asked her to do.
You
and
said
didn't
she
you
put
hear
it
in the
on
morning
sheet joy
what I
and put it on her
said?
desk.
Wait a minute, go ahead.
Didn't you hear in the morning what I say? That she read 3 sets and she said, hey, wait a minute, there is something here wrong, I have a concern. I told her it's 2009, I was not even on the board, but I will look at it because if you start releasing stuff, I don't want that account to be liable.
I don't either.
And she was going to put it on my desk. I read the commissioner's email, and then I went home and I realized, oh, I didn't check in it, and she had a concern. So I took my time, I came back all the way the next day to see what it is so I can check in that concern. That's all. I don't know why they make a big to-do speculation and making a whole big story of it for nothing.
Didn't have the authority to do it.
Well, I shouldn't have given them to make a copy. I shouldn't. I should make my own copy and just leave
Okay.
it there. Because it was done in non-public session. The session was sealed, the minutes. The public, nobody knows there are minutes out there. And what we release, they don't know that. They only know
Once
if
they're
we
released,
start
the
talking
public
and
has them.
release it.
They're available to the public once they're released.
If they release in a public session.
Anybody else further public input?
No, not one.
Okay. Then we need to go into non-public for,
But we have minutes.
go ahead,
Oh, yep, we do.
go ahead.
And you just mentioned that a nursing home costs $20 million. Is that correct?
Yes, you did, David.
Yep,
And how much was the bond money again?
23.5, I think, or
23.5.
22.5, something like that. I don't remember
Well, it's been
exactly.
reported to me it was 23. It can be more, so I don't know. So if it costs 20 million and we borrowed $23 million, that means that the taxpayers are paying for the interest for $3 million
What?
more that we actually don't need over the last 20 years.
Say that
I mean,
again?
it was not a close estimate.
Say
We
that-
are borrowing $23 million, and it costs actually $20 million.
Yeah.
So the taxpayers are paying interest for the $3 million for the last 20 years.
That part of it I do know about the bond.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Kenney, you were on the board here when it was explained one day that if we took $24 million, because I asked the question, and it was very similar to yours, and you gave back $4 million of it, would you get a reduction in your payment? Yes, you get a reduction in the payment, but the interest for $24 million, my understanding, stays put whether you take 20 million, if you return 4, you return 5, or you don't return anything. So it isn't costing the taxpayers
No.
any more money to have that money sitting here, as I understand it, and I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
I will check on it again, because I think there's something wrong there.
You get the minutes?
Minutes from last week. September 4th, page 1. If you look at, it said there was a brief discussion regarding status of minutes. Commissioner Kenney reported that minutes of the non-public meetings after which he had agreed to write were ready for consideration. Then we have 2 sentences there, but she was unable to open the file on the computer to print them out. They will be addressed at the next meeting. That section was said and done in non-public. So I don't understand why we have some non-public information suddenly in public minutes. So that section should be out. If you watch the video, you will see
That's
it was
correct.
not even on the video.
That's correct, Commissioner Kenney.
We cannot have any non-public discussion in a public meeting.
I don't think that's right. There was a discussion about the memory stick.
Where was that done? In the public session?
It was done in the public session.
No, it was not.
Well, excuse me, but I think it must have been, because when I take the minutes, I start at the top and I work my way to the bottom. I don't reorder anything. Nothing, the order of the discussion is exactly as it appears. So I think that discussion must have been part of the public.
No, it was not. It was not. I'm 100% sure, and maybe you should watch the video and you see it is never there on.
I will check the video.
Okay, what else you got?
Which needs to be taken out. Page 2, oh, I see the numbers now. They are on the bottom of the page. Thank you very much for putting the numbers in. If you look at the beginning, it said Commissioner Kenney expressed her concern about private adultery being brought into the investigation at the nursing home. The whole conversation is inaccurate, what is there. I believe I asked a question last week to Commissioner Sorensen that he had a meeting at a nursing home
Yep.
with an attorney, and you said it was an attorney. And I said if we having private attorneys, we should pay our own private attorney. And I think later he said it was not an attorney,
Right.
it was an investigator.
Chief investigator, yeah,
That is what he said.
yeah.
And because I believe a couple weeks ago we had to leave the non-public session because Commissioner Babson knew and Commissioner Sorensen that he had a meeting at 1 o'clock at a nursing home. And he said it was an attorney. Later he changed his statement, it was the investigator. And then he said he didn't know it was the investigator, but there was a meeting set up and I don't know, I'm not talking to strangers. I mean, if I have a meeting with somebody, I know who I'm talking with. So this whole thing here is inaccurate, what you're putting in. Nobody investigating any stuff at a nursing home, so far as I know. And at the end, if you're looking at the long-standing issue regarding the carpet installation has been settled, Mr. Chandler was pleased to report that the carpet company has stepped up and will do the needed repair. I'm not sure of this part, what Mr. Chandler said. I believe that, I don't think that the company was going to do any repairs anymore. I believe that they were just going to settle. But, you know, I can be mistaken. But that is what I think that he said. But I'm not sure exactly precisely what his words were. But I thought it was just to settle and they were doing nothing anymore. Because I believe they did a couple times. They tried to replace it or repair it a couple times and it didn't work out. So they were going to settle now. But maybe we should check in with Mr. Chandler again if that were exactly his words, or maybe other commissioners remember what he said.
I think you're right, Commissioner Kenney. He said that we were going to settle, and they weren't, the operating company wasn't going to be involved anymore, but they'd made a generous settlement.
I have the last page, page 5 of 6. It said here, that is all the way at the end by Commissioner Kenney, and we're talking about Ms. Seamans. And I think it was about minutes or something. And that she did a minutes, and that she, I think, turned minutes in, and I asked if she did it, maybe she can reissue it because we don't have the minutes. And then I read Commissioner Sorensen declared Commissioner Kenney out of order and agreed that old minutes that are missing cannot be reissued at a date, because I think I gave an answer to Ms. Seamans. Not too long ago, when we had Ms. Seamans sitting right there, she wanted to have a room for a private meeting. Commissioner Sorensen and I asked her, what is it exactly for, are you going to write about it? Her answer was, it's not of your business. And the commissioner are heckling. And in no time did Commissioner Sorensen open his mouth and ruled her out of order. So we have two standards here.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What, wait a minute?
That was a private meeting that was organized by her.
We're not talking about that. We're talking the way she was talking.
Yeah? What about it?
When she was asking, and we asked if she's going to write it, because she comes here and make a request. We can ask questions, but she doesn't want that we ask any questions about her request. And she just said to the commissioner, it's none of your business. Now the commissioners are heckling. That were exactly her words. And you say nothing back to her. You didn't rule her out of order. It was rude. Any corrections by the commissioners?
Go
I'd
ahead,
like to
Commissioner
correct one
Babson.
statement. I believe Commissioner Kenney said that the appointment set up with the inspector was with Mr. Sorensen, Commissioner Sorensen and Commissioner Babson. I'd like to have the record show that I had nothing to do with it. The appointment was not with me, it was with Commissioner Sorensen.
Where are we?
That is not in there, I'm just,
Oh.
Commissioner Kenney said that, made the statement
Oh.
that you and I had an appointment over with the inspector over the nursing home. I'm just saying, I was not part of that meeting, nor was it planned for me to be there.
Commissioner Babson, I don't know what you're talking about, because I just said that you had knowledge. I didn't say you were part of the meeting. You had knowledge that Commissioner Sorensen had a meeting at
Oh,
1
yes, I
p.m.
did.
at a nursing home. That is what I was referring to. when I
Okay.
said
Okay,
that.
I agree with that, I did have knowledge.
I want to correct it. It wasn't to investigate issues at the nursing home.
I already correct that.
What did you correct?
I said the whole thing was inaccurate.
No, it's accurate. Except
No,
for,
not-
I wasn't there to investigate issues at the nursing home. That's
No.
inaccurate.
That was the.
The meeting
person
was
we had
held
meeting.
at the nursing home.
Yes, that is what I said.
Well,
Needs to be
that's not what it
corrected.
says.
Yeah, I know, that's why I said that it's inaccurate what is there. That has nothing to do actually with any investigation in the nursing home.
That's
I
right.
already mentioned that.
Okay. Then, you want to delete that whole area?
Yeah, and
Why?
just, she's just going to write what I just said, what have been said last week.
I didn't actually follow much of that.
I don't follow it either.
I think it's the last sentence that's at issue, though. Commissioner Sorensen explained that the specific instance she cited was a
Investigative officer from Strafford County. That's true.
meeting with an investigative officer from Strafford County,
Right.
but not, yeah.
So just take out the first line, the second.
No,
and
leave the first line in, just put it in there that
Yeah, but
it
private
was not
attorneys.
issues at the nursing home that was being discussed. All I want in there is what was said. You expressed your concern that private attorneys were being brought in to investigate.
Issues at the
She said
nursing
all
home.
such business needed to be conducted publicly before the commission. Commissioner Sorensen explained that the specific instance she cited was an investigative officer from Strafford County. That's all true.
I didn't say that, and I think you should watch the video and you hear what I said, what the questions were. I never said that private attorneys were brought in to investigate issues at a nursing home.
You said
Told
something,
me that he talked to an attorney, and I said if it is a private attorney, we should pay for our own private attorney.
Commissioner Babson.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. My recollection of the conversation was that Commissioner Kenney made the statement that you were seeing a private attorney and that if it's a private attorney, that you should be paying for it. At that point, you said you had you misled everybody, that at first you said it was attorney, and then you learned that it was It was not, it was an inspector from Strafford County,
Yeah.
and as I recall, that was the end of the conversation.
So what do you say? What are you
I'm
saying?
just saying that she pointed out that if it was private, you had to pay for it. You pointed out that you had made a mistake, that you had said that it was the person was a lawyer, but then you found out he was an inspector, and that it had nothing to do with the nursing home or anything else, and nobody had to pay for it.
Okay, so
I don't know what you want to do with the sentence, I don't know
all I
why.
want to do is take out, there was no investigation regarding issues at the nursing home.
Right.
So take out issues at the nursing home. Just cross that out and leave the rest of it the way it is.
Right, okay.
And if it is about county business, the board should know. Here is it stated different. She said all such business needs to be conducted publicly before the commissioner. I don't know if I made such a
I
statement.
was,
But I will go myself back to that part maybe of the video and check it out, because the first time when I corrected what I said, that is precisely what I said, and remember that.
okay.
Are there any other corrections?
Nope.
Okay, so
Dan?
you're not gonna be able to vote on it, because I have to watch the video to see where the
Regarding-
timing of that statement is, because I'm morally certain that it was during the public discussion, but I will have to check the video to make sure.
We can vote it as corrected, and you can correct it.
Well, but only if I can, you need to know what the
I don't
corrections
see
are
any problem
before you
with
vote
that,
on
with
it.
that one.
What's that?
As corrected.
Commissioner Kenney
We just
reported
stated
that the minutes of
corrections.
non-public
But I don't
meetings.
know whether this statement is.
Which she had
right or
agreed
not.
to
I have
write,
check
we're
the
ready
video. I'm not
for
gonna be able to make
consideration.
the correction until I check the video.
Well, you bring it back, we can make an amendment that minutes.
Well, I would prefer not to do that.
I'm 99% sure she's right.
Okay, all right. All right. Motion is made. Who made the motion? You make the motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 4, 2013 as corrected.
Second?
No.
No.
Oh, how can you vote on something that as corrected if we haven't corrected them?
Yeah, but she's going to correct it. We
Well, I'm
already
not-
stated
I-
what the corrections are.
I'm hoping I'll be around next week.
I move we
to
table
vote
the minutes
for-
until next week.
Thank you, David,
we-
I'll vote for that.
We've been doing those minutes just for years. We approve it as corrected, and they doing the correction then, so I don't know why it is different.
Then table to next week, so we'll
We
bring
can
those up
table it, and
next
we can
week.
watch a piece of the video.
Yep, okay. Anything else to be brought up in a regular meeting?
Is that all I on that? To table until next
We-
week?
Table is
we
table.
tabled this
Yep.
one.
Okay. I would move that we go into non-public with HR and the superintendent of the jail under RSA 91A3, paragraph 2, A, C, and E.
Right, so I have on the agenda, you said paragraph 2, but it said here's A3. If you
AC.
check at the agenda.
Motion been made. Do I hear a second?
Wait a minute, Dave, before you do it, I approve it, but I want to make sure I get on our new checklist to keep everybody happy. I want to make sure I get the right.
So why do we have A, C, and C?
We'll discuss that in non-public.
AC and E. E
Yeah,
is the
so
legal.
there are two Cs, so the
Personnel
last
and
C
legal.
needs to be the E.
E is legal, yes.
So,
So you're coming for personnel and legal, is that correct?
Yes.
so the second C should be E,
E.
okay?
Do I hear a second?
Second,
Second. Any further discussion?
Roll call.
Personnel and legal. Yes,
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes,
Mr. Babson?
yes,
so voted then. And we'll follow that up at
10:41.
After.
Put the time for me.
to go over some more of our minutes to see if we can release some more. Okay,
Roll call vote, Mr. Chairman.
we had it, just had it.
Already.
Oh, we did.
We're already in non-public.
Yes, yes, and yes.
We have also 10:40.